guys, welcome back to the Summer of the 90s and 1996. Start off with the launch of the N64, it's somewhere in the shirt here. A system that we had very different experiences with growing up. A system that I've come to enjoy, but at the time, detested entirely.
And yet you still owned it.
Oh yeah, I still owned it and had a handful of games for it.
So
Mario 64, a couple of that kind of stuff, but for me, that's, again, as I mentioned, I'll bring that up. Mario 64, that was a truly revolutionary game.
Yes.
I'm incredibly excited for the new Mario Odyssey because it's based in many ways like a upgraded sequel to that game. That was one of the few games I did have for the N64. The N64, my problem was at the time, they lost almost all third-party support, and everything went, and there were entire genres almost entirely missing in the N64. But what it did well, it did really well. There were reasons to have it, no matter what you liked. Good system for the time, a system that really, though, let the door open for people like Sony and stuff to come in, but truly amazing system as far as having the handful of classics. It didn't have a huge library, it wasn't very varied, but it had this small, compact library of absolute classics.
Yes.
Another great Nintendo-related thing, of course, this is when we started seeing the craze of Pokemon. Yay! Bulbasaur. But yeah, Pokemon, I remember we were the generation, we were in, I'm trying to think, at that point would have been 5th grade, maybe?
Something like that.
5th grade, 6th grade, somewhere around there. So we were the perfect generation for the Pokemon anime and the original Game Boy games and things like that to come out. And the trading card, I remember the cards definitely more than anything, I think. Cause
that was everybody.
It was everyone battling and trading on the playground and stuff like that. And I remember eventually they were banned from my school. Were they for yours? Eventually Pokemon was banned.
One of many things that were eventually banned.
That's the one I remember the most of. That was truly they held an assembly. We didn't have a problem with that.
Really?
No.
I wasn't allowed to.
We had an actual assembly talking about Pokemon and stuff like that, because it was just crazy.
Tamagotchis came out that year too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Tamagotchis was that year too. That was
I was very upset when they were banned.
Yeah.
My mom had to feed them.
She
had to feed them for us or they'd die.
My sister had a Tamagotchi. I owned one and I never used it. I didn't see to me I didn't get the craze.
I had a Nano.
Yeah.
It was a little orange kitty cat, and I remember leaving at the bus stop, waving goodbye, and please feed it. You have to remember feed it. And my mom would play games with it and feed it.
Mine died because I didn't care. I didn't have time for it. For me, I didn't find it appealing.
They're so cute. I don't know why. It was just especially because we had Game Boys, we had we had so many other things that were better, but for some reason that.
Yeah. Another toy that was really big that year was Bop It, and I remember that was kind of our generation's Simon. The different lights, so that was kind of an evolution of that, and I just remember that being very popular and good commercials again. I remember the commercials. Yeah, so Bop It, that was a fun, memorable thing from that year, just because it was something I remember being kind of everywhere, and I remember just everyone.
Did you have one?
Yeah, we had a couple. Yeah, we had because I had one, and my sister had one, trying to beat high scores and stuff. It was it was interesting, but it was just that was just one of those things that I remember being absolutely everywhere that year. That was also a huge year in TV. In North America at that time, and I know you weren't super into anime till later on, but
just most general Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball.
For me, up until this point, anime was this weird thing not a lot of people knew about, that a lot of, especially shows, movies were a different case, but TV shows, my only experience with anime until this year was random VHS tapes at video stores, and it would be volume 2 of 14, and they'd never get any more, and that kind of
and I think that held a lot of people back.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Personally, if it was available, then sure.
Yeah, anime and manga was a weird thing, and we didn't grow up in an area that had a large Asian population, especially Japanese, so we didn't have a lot of just natural imports. We didn't have a big population that would import that type of thing.
We have a big population of
now we do. Yeah, now we do. But at the time it just wasn't, and this was the year that we got the Ocean dub of Dragon Ball Z. We first got a taste of that in North America, and that really ushered in this surge of anime culture, finally, and that just, I think, that will stick with me forever, that original Ocean dub, just because that was holy crap, what is this? And it was so exciting.
Something that the Japanese people have had for years.
Forever, yeah. But it was cool because it popularized it, and it launched all these other shows to come in, Sailor Moon, Yu Yu Hakusho, Gundam, and the whole Toonami thing, and it really made it more mainstream and acceptable. So then we started getting more. We actually started getting a whole lot of manga in English, complete sets. We started getting a lot more anime. We started even just a lot of movies and stuff with even just the subtitles, things like that. We got more dubs, and it was more quality dubs too than in stuff I would see from the 80s and things like that. So like this was hugely important, and I definitely have a lot of fond memories of that original dub rather than the later dub, even though I'm more used to that now.
Yeah.
But it was a big year for that. Also on TV, one that's just, I think, very memorable for us, Hey Arnold.
Yes.
That was another good one, and that was Nickelodeon too, wasn't it?
That was Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Everything was Nickelodeon.
Yeah, like in 90s, it was a lot of Nickelodeon. That was just like the network, and that was another very popular one. Just like, hey, oh, I know, move football, hey. Like I just remember so much from that.
It's so sad now if you look at like their lives and the
yeah.
horrible things happening.
Oh yeah,
So
it was definitely a darker show than you realize.
there were a lot of things that were very dark that we watched.
Yeah, but that's I think about it for TV. So moving on to movies, a couple really big ones this year. Star Trek: First Contact, which an amazing movie, definitely the best Next Generation movie as far as just like sheer quality. And you got to see the Enterprise E, and it was
Borg Queen.
Yes, the Borg Queen. Like got to see Return of the Borg, and this was particularly exciting because we were the perfect generation to be horrified by Best of Both Worlds and the coming of the Borg, and really being young and growing up with that, and being hit hard with the prior movie with the destruction of the Enterprise D. To see this, it was such like a really cool rebirth in a way. And
very scary too.
Yes, and it was an amazing action movie. This is actually one of the few. This is up there as far with Wrath of Khan, I think, as far as you can enjoy it if you don't know much about Star Trek.
Oh.
I think this is one of the few that you can just watch that and like Voyage Home, maybe like.
And Zephram Cochrane.
Yes.
I was so excited.
It was really. I was
so
really cool.
excited about him.
It was very good movie.
Cool.
And this is actually, out of all the later ones, this is the only one where their inclusion of Worf makes sense, because they always found some weird way to get Worf on board.
You have to bring Worf back.
But a lot of times it was very forced.
He belongs to Next Generation first. That's his first one.
Yeah, an amazing movie. One of the best Star Trek movies, period, and definitely the best Next Generation movie.
Yeah.
Also in movies, we had Muppet Treasure Island.
Muppet Treasure Island.
Which I know is your favorite.
This is my
Muppet
favorite.
Movie.
Look at that man. Look at that sexy
Tim
face
Curry,
right there.
yeah. Tim Curry is
You
great.
can't beat Tim Curry. And he works so well with the Muppets,
he
and I don't know
interacted perfectly.
why.
Tim Curry is a Muppet.
He is a Muppet.
He's a flesh Muppet.
But this is such a great movie. And it's
Yes.
such a great rendition of not Muppet Treasure Island, but Treasure
But
Island.
Treasure Island in general,
It's like such a great, like, even without the puppets, like as an adult looking at it, this is great.
And a great soundtrack as usual. I think a lot of
the
those
soundtrack's
later
amazing.
Muppet ones had really good soundtracks.
Yes, yeah.
But
This
that was a
one's
really
fantastic.
good one. And then I think one of the greatest 90s movies, and this is something that we're definitely that generation where seeing Mara Wilson as a grown-up is weird.
Yeah, it is very weird.
It's very weird, because Matilda, amazing. This is such an incredible movie.
By Danny DeVito.
Yeah, he's such a huge part in this. This is such a classic, and I think this one, in a way, is not locked in the 90s. I think this is one anyone can really appreciate.
Yes.
So, and I know this was particularly special for you.
This was. I identified with her so much, and I always wanted Miss Honey to come find me and take me into her beautiful house and eat chocolates. I wanted to be Matilda and have powers. And Danny DeVito's in it.
Yeah, he was great.
Danny DeVito was in like most of my childhood, I feel
That's
like.
That's true.
In some way, shape, or form, he was always there. So, yeah, I love this one.
Yeah.
Seems phenomenal.
Another big thing that year, this was the first time we got a Spice Girls album released here in the States. And that was, again, another notch in the belt of that girl power movement in the 90s. And it was such a positive, like, interesting way. It was very different than, say, like, the feminist movement of, like, the 60s and 70s. It was very different, obviously different from today. But it was just a great decade for that. And they were one of those standout things that just, at the time, it was more of, it's just always on. I didn't necessarily like it. Like, I liked it, but it wasn't.
Spice Girls.
Yeah, for me, it was more of just, like, it was always around. Now I love the Spice Girls, those first two albums really of theirs, just because it reminds me so much of the 90s. It's so definitively 90s. Like some of those songs, every time I hear them, they bring back different memories related to the 90s.
Yeah.
And they were definitely better, I think, than a lot of the other groups that were out at the time. Like, they're definitely better, in my opinion, than a lot of the boy bands that were out there at the time.
Who's your favorite?
Baby Spice.
Obviously.
Baby Spice is my favorite, yeah, of course. But, and the other one here, and this is definitely for us because we grew up in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania.
Unfortunately.
You can regularly have to wait behind horse and buggies and stuff, and the smell of cow crap all summer long. But Weird Al released Amish Paradise, which is amazing. Like that is to me, that's my favorite Weird Al. Like in general, I love a lot of stuff, but this one, just because of where we grew up, it has such particular significance that just oh my gosh, it's amazing. But at the same time, it was always a little bit infuriating because it's like it's all true. It's so horrible here. It's so horrible here, bad. And it just reminds you of that. But it's such a great song, and that's one of the first Weird Al ones that I saw. Like I saw Eat It before and a couple other things, but that's the first one that I really like. Wow, I really like Weird Al.
Yeah, because the Phantom Menace one that was later.
Yeah. But and the last couple things are this is a really big year for video games because last year was a big launch for consoles really, and then the N64 coming out this year, and then a lot of them were getting really big games. We talked about Mario 64, another one here. In the arcades, we got my favorite arcade game of all time, the original House of the Dead, and this is the Saturn copy here. This to me, I love light gun games in arcades, like anything.
It was a really fun game.
So much fun. This will always be my favorite though. That I can't. The number of quarters, like I probably could have purchased the arcade machine by now over the course of almost 20 years, like something like that. But that was a huge one. The first Resident Evil launched, and that was a game changer in so many ways. It perfected a lot of the stuff it borrowed from Alone in the Dark and things like that. Crash Bandicoot, who, being a PlayStation freak at the time, Crash was great because I really wanted a cool mascot character, and Sony didn't really want to have like a defining mascot.
No, they did not.
But if they had one at the time, I'd say it was like Crash. Like I really loved those first couple games. And you also had Tomb Raider, which I collect Tomb Raider games. I love Tomb Raider.
Yeah, you collect old Tomb Raider games.
Yeah, okay, Tomb Raider up until the reboot. But yeah, up through like 2008 or whatever. But yeah, Tomb Raider released on the Saturn and the PlayStation. And I think the most interesting thing is...
boobs.
Yes, triangle boobs. I think the most interesting thing is that it was meant to be more of a Saturn exclusive, but it went to the PlayStation because PlayStation was doing really well, and then it stayed PlayStation for a long time. But that was a huge one, and another big one, continuing my Blizzard craze here, Diablo was released that year, so just an amazing game. I've always loved the art style, and this is the Diablo that I like. Never got into 3. 2, I played more the multiplayer, I think, but for a single-player experience, the original Diablo, just going into that hub town in the beginning, that music is so iconic to me. I absolutely love that. It's a game I'll never forget. And I think that is it for 1996, so let us know what some of your memories are of this iconic 90s year, smack dab in the middle of the 90s, about to enter the second half, and we'll see you in 1997.